Imagine boarding a plane, excited and ready for your journey, oblivious to the fact that it would be your last. The morning of June 23, 1985, started like any other. Sunlight filtered through the windows of Montreal's Mirabel International Airport, casting long shadows on the tarmac where a majestic Boeing 747, known as Emperor Kanishka, stood ready for a long haul. Named after the most famous emperor of the Kushan Empire in India, the Emperor Kanishka was not just a plane. It was a symbol of India's rich history and a testament to the marvel of human engineering. On that fateful morning, it was preparing for a journey from Canada to India, with a stopover in London. The air was thick with the anticipation of the day's journey. Families, tourists, and business people alike were all boarding the plane, each with their own stories, dreams, and hopes. Some were returning home after a long vacation, some were embarking on a new adventure, and others were simply going about their business. They were mothers and fathers, sons and daughters, friends and loved ones. They were more than just passengers. They were 329 unique lives, each with a world of their own. As the last passenger stepped onto the plane, the air buzzed with a mix of emotions: excitement, anxiety, joy, and a hint of sadness from those saying goodbye. The plane was a microcosm of life itself, filled with a tapestry of human emotions and experiences. With the boarding completed, the Emperor Kanishka began its taxi towards the runway. The engines roared to life, and the plane slowly lifted off, carrying with it the hopes and dreams of all 329 people on board. The morning sun gleamed off the metal body of the plane as it disappeared into the horizon, leaving behind a trail of white clouds. Little did anyone know of the dark shadow that was about to be cast over this seemingly normal day. As the plane took off, passengers settled in, completely unaware of the tragic fate that awaited them. An hour into the flight, as the plane cruised over the Atlantic, disaster struck. In the tranquil early morning hours, the Boeing 747 was making steady progress on its transatlantic voyage. The passengers were settling in, some reading, others catching up on sleep, oblivious to the imminent catastrophe. Without warning, a violent explosion rocked the aircraft. The culprit, a bomb, cunningly concealed within a suitcase, nestled among the innocuous luggage in the plane's cargo hold. The explosive, skillfully hidden, had been ticking away, a silent harbinger of the impending calamity. The blast was devastating, ripping through the aircraft with a force that instantly transformed the Boeing 747 into a fiery ball of wreckage. The plane, once a marvel of modern engineering, was now a disintegrating mass of metal, consumed by the unforgiving flames. The passengers, caught in the grip of the explosion, had no time to comprehend the horror unfolding around them. The aircraft, now a flaming comet, began its rapid descent into the icy waters of the Atlantic. The tranquility of the morning was shattered by the deafening roar of the explosion and the chilling screams that followed. The catastrophic breakup of the plane midair was a sight of unimaginable horror. In the blink of an eye, the aircraft became a rain of debris, scattering across the vast expanse of the ocean. The bright orange flames against the deep blue canvas of the Atlantic were a stark reminder of the destructive power of terrorism. The aftermath was heart-wrenching. The sea, once a symbol of tranquility, was now a graveyard, littered with the remnants of the destroyed plane and the lives it carried. The magnitude of the tragedy was beyond comprehension. The loss of life was monumental. Each passenger had a story, a life left unfinished, a journey cut short. In a matter of seconds, all 329 people on board were gone, making it the deadliest aviation incident involving a bombing. An incident, a catastrophe that would forever be etched in the annals of aviation history. In the aftermath of the explosion, the world was left in shock, and an international investigation began. Debris from the ill-fated Boeing 747 scattered across the Irish Sea was a grim testament to the magnitude of the tragedy. The remnants of the aircraft, along with the personal belongings of those on board, became critical pieces of a puzzle that investigators from around the globe were racing to solve. The first breakthrough came when a suitcase recovered from the wreckage was traced back to Vancouver, Canada. Inside it, investigators found evidence of a high-grade explosive, a chilling confirmation that the crash was no accident, but a calculated act of terror. The origin of the suitcase gave investigators their first tangible lead, pointing them in the direction of the culprits behind this horrific act. The trail led to a Sikh extremist group based in Canada, known for their vocal opposition to the Indian government's actions against Sikhs. The group was driven by a desire for revenge, and it became clear that Air India Flight 182 had been their chosen target. This revelation shed light on the motive behind the bombing, but it also raised a multitude of questions. Who were the individuals responsible? How had they managed to carry out such an act? As the investigation progressed, the net began to tighten around the members of the extremist group. Their communications were intercepted, their movements tracked, and their connections scrutinized. Eventually, arrests were made, and the process of bringing those responsible to justice was set in motion. The subsequent trials were a spectacle of their own. The accused, standing before a court, were confronted with the evidence against them. Witnesses testified, experts presented their findings, and the prosecution painted a picture of a meticulously planned act of terror. The defense argued their case, but the weight of the evidence was overwhelming. Convictions were handed down, a symbolic victory in the face of such an immense loss. Yet, as the gavel fell, there was no celebration, no sense of triumph. Instead, there was a sobering acknowledgement of the lives lost, the families shattered, and the innocence forever stolen. The pursuit of justice was necessary, but it was also a painful reminder of the irreversible consequences of the bombing. While justice was sought, it was a painful reminder that the lives lost could never be brought back. The scars left by the bombing of Air India Flight 182 continue to linger, a testament to the destructive power of extremism and the enduring pain of loss. The Air India Flight 182 bombing was not just a tragic incident, it was a stark reminder of the devastation that extremism can cause. In the aftermath of the tragedy, the world was shaken. For many, it was a wake-up call, a grim realization of the destructive power of extremism. The incident had a profound impact on aviation security worldwide, triggering significant changes. Airlines and airports globally ramped up their security measures, aiming to prevent such a disaster from ever happening again. Aircraft were fitted with more sophisticated security systems. Baggage screening became more thorough and stringent, with advanced technology being utilized to detect even the slightest hint of explosives. Passengers were subjected to more rigorous checks, and security personnel were trained to be more vigilant and adept at identifying potential threats. The tragedy of Air India Flight 182 was a catalyst for change, pushing the aviation industry to reinforce its defenses against the threat of terrorism. Every year, memorial services are held to remember the victims of the Flight 182 bombing. In Canada, where a majority of the victims hailed from, the Air India Flight 182 Memorial in Ottawa stands as a poignant reminder of the lives lost. This memorial, along with others in Ireland, India, and other parts of the world, is a place of solace where families and friends gather to remember their loved ones. The victims' families continue their fight for justice, their resolve undiminished by the passage of time. They seek answers, closure, and the assurance that such a tragedy will never recur. Their quest for justice is a testament to their courage and determination, a reminder of the human spirit's resilience in the face of adversity. The bombing of Flight 182 was a tragic event, but it also brought communities together in shared grief and solidarity. It showed how, in the face of violence and terror, people can unite, offering support and compassion to those affected. It underscored the power of unity, the strength that lies in standing together against the forces of destruction. The incident also sparked a broader conversation on extremism, leading many to reflect on its root causes and potential solutions. It highlighted the need for dialogue, understanding, and education to counter the narratives of violence and hatred. It reinforced the idea that peace is not just a desired state, but a necessary one, crucial for the survival and prosperity of our global community. As we remember the tragic incident of Air India Flight 182, it serves as a reminder of the preciousness of life and the importance of peace and unity in our world. The memory of the victims continues to inspire us, prompting us to strive for a world where such acts of violence are a thing of the past. As we move forward, let's remember the lessons from this tragedy and work together to create a safer, more peaceful world.